Hello everybody. Today I'm gonna briefly present our template model for policy cards, but also for scoring the policies. So there is an Excel spreadsheet template that's going to be circulated to you via email. I'm going to go through some of these things so quickly so that we all know a little bit what it's about. First of all, there's three different tabs at the bottom. But as most case study people will only be concerned by the first two, policy goals and intervention policy cards. The rest, the intervention for developers, is like a more complete version of the policy card table with like numbers and things that are used for the game implementation. But only some of the modelers will be concerned by that. So please only focus on the first two tabs. First tab is about policy goal. So as per the description of Maria Whitmer in her previous document, what's happening is we got a general policy goal score. Let's say your general policy goal might be water security. But in order to compute that general score between 0 and 100%, you somehow need to find policy objectives. And the policy objective could be for water security, for example, water saving in agricultural sector or water saving in households. So there are scores between 0 and 1, so between 0 and 100%, and they all have some sort of weight that contribute when added together to the general overall policy goal. So that's the structure we're following from a score point of view. So this is what happens here. You've got this mini table in which you list your general policy goals. If you want, you can give them different colors. Let's say blue for water, yellow for energy, green for, a bit like the code of color we had in the game. You can follow whatever you want to do color-wise. It's up to you as long as it helps you. Then for each policy goal score, as it's a number between 0 and 100%, if you wish so, you can add some sort of qualitative threshold to describe how you're doing with the score. So you can add whatever word you want. If, for example, you obtain a score below 20%, perhaps that's actually quite underwhelming, or perhaps that's still quite good, or just to give us an idea from a gaming point of view. If we can give feedback to the user, if you've got a score of, let's say, between 50 and 60%, if that's actually good or if that's not that high or whatever. So you can just develop these tables and add more rows. There's another table which lists the policy objectives that contribute to calculating the policy goal. So in the case of the first policy goal, water security, and the three policy objectives listed here that contribute to this policy goal are here, and they each are given some sort of weight because there are scores between 0 and 1, and so you add them together with the weight to get your policy goal score. Notice that the weights can be fixed in advance like you want here, or you could actually put give us what variables from the model if the weights are actually depending on, let's say, for example, in the agricultural sector, the surface dedicated to agriculture or something like that. Perhaps this could be represented by a variable in the model. So you have to give us some sort of weight, and if you don't provide us directly a figure here, tell us what variables from the model could be used to provide that weight. You have to give us the full formula, of course. Finally, each policy objective is a score between 0 and 1. But somehow you need to give us the formula of how you calculate that score. So you use some variables from the SDM, and you need to provide the exact formula that will give us a score between 0 and 1, between 0 and 100%. So once you have listed all that, we got a complete scoring system to appreciate the success or the failure, or how we reach our objectives and goals. And this is very important for the game. The second tab is very important as well. It's the list of policy cards. So there's not been that many different things added since last time, but some of them are significant. So the policy has an idea, a name, a very short name that can be put to use in the user interface. So try not to make your name too long for your policy card. Or if you have a long name, make sure you've got a very short name near from it as well. Another thing is we need to know if the policy is implemented at some sort of global level. By global, I mean if you've got a game in which you've got sub-regions or sub-geographical areas that you can change, and then there's like some overall national big view, and you could either apply this policy in the sub area or the regions, or perhaps only at the national level. So you need to tell us if it's which one of these it is. Another thing is we need to know if the effect of the policy, and that is important, we need to know if they're permanent. So for example, if you build a water reservoir, it's going to stay there, but if you just create a tax, it might just disappear. So we need to know if the effects stay with time or not. We need also to know if this policy can be applied multiple times or only once. If the policy, and this is a tricky thing, if the policy can be applied multiple times, does it always have the same effects, or does the effectiveness of this policy, the effect it has over the environment of the world, does it decline? I mean, in the sense that perhaps the first time you apply that policy, it's really effective, but the second time you apply the same policy, you might lose 10% or something. So it's up to you to put a minus 10% or 0% loss in effectiveness, or perhaps even a mathematical formula that you think would apply. As long as numerically we can get something out of it that makes sense. Now, if this policy is applied in the pre-game period, we got two pre-game periods, one between 2010 and 2015, and one between 2015 and 2020. So if this policy is applied between these periods of time, is that the case? And if so, do they already have a loss of efficiency? So that's good for us to know. The other criteria are basically the same, except that you don't need to put exact token amounts anymore. We will try to contact some of the modelers later to extract at least some of these values. But yeah, as long as you give us qualitative values, low, medium, high, we're quite happy with that. And that is it. So thank you very much. If possible, try to fill in 1 or 2 lines for next time when we meet on Monday, and see if you're missing something. If there's a problem, so this way we can address it. We can help you to fill in the table if there's something you don't understand, or we can actually change the layout of the template table if there's something missing that you might suggest is important. All right, thank you very much. Bye-bye.